diving into the process of generating timetables, and I want to walk you through the complete workflow we'll be exploring together. As you can see on the screen, there are 5 key stages we'll cover. We start with pre-timetable preparation, where we set up all the constraints and requirements. Then we move into the actual generation of timetables using algorithms. After that comes post-timetable adjustment, where we fine-tune our results. We'll also look at an auto-refine feature that helps optimize things automatically. And finally, we'll take a snapshot to capture and save our final timetable. Think of this as a complete pipeline from start to finish. Let's begin with stage 1. So let's focus on the pre-timetable preparation phase. This is really where the groundwork happens. Here's the basic workflow. You'll manually assign some teaching sessions to get things started, and then the solver will automatically complete the remaining ones. First, you'll see a list of all your groups displayed. When you select a group and click on a time slot, a window opens showing all available courses and their instructors. You then assign the appropriate course and instructor to that slot. Now, here's something important. By default, 4 validation rules are already enabled to keep things realistic. No scheduling conflicts, respecting each instructor's weekly workload, respecting maximum daily loads, and checking group availability. These rules filter the course list you see, so you can only select valid options. But if you need more flexibility, you can temporarily disable any of these rules. Once you're satisfied with your manual assignments, just click Save. Alright, now let's talk about solver clusters. When you're dealing with large schools or universities with hundreds of groups, running the solver on everything at once can get computationally expensive. So instead, you can divide your groups into clusters and solve each one separately. This dramatically reduces complexity and speeds things up. The solver generates a timetable for each cluster independently, then cascades those results together. Common instructors get the assigned sessions treated as availability constraints, which keeps everything coordinated. You have 2 options. Click Auto Suggest to let the system automatically divide groups based on overlap rate. It defaults to 20%, but you can adjust it, or manually add clusters yourself. Once you're done organizing, just hit Save. Perfect. Now let's dive into the Generate Timetable dashboard itself. Once you're ready to create your timetable, you'll see a dashboard displaying key statistics. The number of days, slots per day, groups, instructors, courses, data input rows, available rooms, plus any pre-assigned or shared sessions. Here's the crucial part. You have 3 constraint rules to configure. Rule 1 controls gaps within a day. Rule 2 manages whether course sessions must stay consecutive. And Rule 3 determines if courses can cross breaks. Each rule offers 3 flexibility levels: hard, meaning strict requirements; soft, allowing flexibility when needed; and off for no preference. Finally, if you hit a no solution error, try setting Rule 1 to semi-hard while keeping the others as they are. That usually helps. Now let's look at the second set of constraints you'll configure. First, you can enable or disable pre-timetabling. If you set it to hard, any pre-assigned slots are completely blocked. Choose soft, and those slots become strongly preferred instead. The default is off, meaning pre-timetabling is disabled entirely. Then you'll decide on shared and co-teaching options, set your time limit, 2, 3, or 6 minutes, and choose your instructor concentration level. Off runs fastest, low is quicker, medium balances quality and speed, while max gives you the fewest teaching days but takes longer. You can also enable teaching distribution and room preferences. Here's the interesting part. If room preferences conflict with instructor preferences, you choose which takes priority, instructor hard preferences override group preferences, or vice versa. Finally, once you've configured everything, simply click Generate Timetables. Alright, so once all your constraints are satisfied and you have a feasible solution, the solver generates complete timetables for your groups, instructors, and rooms. Now, about those pre-assigned sessions I mentioned, when you set pre-timetabling to hard, they'll show up with dashed lines in the output, so you can easily spot them. For shared teaching, here's what happens. If physical education is assigned to multiple groups at the same time slot, it appears as one entry in the instructor's timetable. You'll see it listed as Physical Education, Group 05, Group 06, Shared. For co-teaching, it works differently. Multiple courses taught simultaneously display as separate sub-slots within the same time block. So you'd see something like Course, Music, Instructor, Grace Mitchell, Room, MR time 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, right alongside Course, Visual Arts, Instructor, Sophia Turner, Room Rs, in that same slot. Now let's look at some practical considerations when generating timetables. For large schools, the solver may occasionally reach its execution time limit before finding a solution. In this case, you can submit a new job to continue running in the background in the cloud. You can then check the results manually or enable autopoll, which automatically checks for updates every 15 seconds. If you later need to introduce new constraints, for example, because an instructor's availability has changed, you can update the timetable efficiently. Use Update Current with minimum changes for a quick recalculation that preserves as much of the existing timetable as possible. Alternatively, select Submit Update Job when the update requires background processing. Troubleshooting and resolving timetable generation issues will be covered in more detail in another video. Finally, you have several options for printing and exporting your timetables. You can export them to Word using different filters, including all timetables, groups only, instructors only, rooms only, or a combination of these options. You can also select specific timetables when needed. Once your selections are complete, the print preview will display the timetables that are ready to be printed or exported. Now that you've generated your timetables, you'll often need to fine-tune them. Here's how the Post-Timetable adjustment feature works. First, select the specific group or instructor timetable you want to modify. Then, use drag and drop to move sessions around. Just click and hold any session, drag it to your target slot, and release. The system applies updates with minimal changes. Notice the timetables are color-coded to show the impact of your adjustments. Green means no new gaps were created, which is ideal. Orange indicates one added gap. And red means 2 or more gaps appeared. This color feedback helps you make informed decisions about whether an adjustment is worth the trade-off. If you make a change you're not happy with, simply hit Undo Last Adjustment to revert to the previous version. Now let's look at Auto Refine, a feature that takes timetable optimization one step further. Auto Refine improves the schedules of selected instructors one at a time, making only minimal changes to the existing timetable. It works exclusively with soft constraints, so it will not produce an infeasible timetable. The process is simple. Start by selecting the instructors whose schedules you want to refine. Next, choose your optimization objectives. You can concentrate teaching into fewer days by reducing gaps between sessions, minimize gaps between classes, or create half-day free periods by specifying how many you want. Because these are soft constraints, you can adjust them according to your scheduling priorities. In the Options section, enable Accept Only if improved, to make sure a revised schedule is applied only when it produces a better result. You can also set the time limit for each instructor, 30 seconds for a quick pass, 60 seconds for a balanced result, or 120 seconds for a more thorough optimization. Once you have selected the instructors, objectives, and preferred options, click Run Auto Refine to begin the optimization process. Alright, we've reached the final topic, database snapshot. This is crucial for data management and backup. The database snapshot feature lets you export your entire timetable database into a single Excel file. This is invaluable for backup. You have two main options. First, download Snapshot. This exports everything: groups, instructors, courses, availability settings, co-teaching arrangements, clusters, and your final timetable results into one file. Second, upload and restore, but be careful here. This will completely replace all your existing data, so always download a backup first before uploading. The snapshot captures your complete current database state, all core data, configuration settings, and results. It's your safety net for protecting your timetabling work. That concludes our tutorial. Thank you for following along.